Oh, construction champions, it's your host, Ron Nussbaum, and we're here for another amazing episode of Construction Champions podcast.
Go.
Yeah, let's rock and roll, man. So we burn down the house and we rebuild it here every week. We talk to guys that are leaders, disruptors, people that are making a difference in the construction industry every week. And that's why I'm so excited for our guests today. Caleb, how's it going today?
I can't match that energy, Ron. I would love to, but hey, it's a beautiful day here in Minnesota. Rainy, but we woke up today, so it's a great day.
Awesome, man. Well, you dominate at everything you do. I don't know if any of our listeners out there know about you, but we connected on LinkedIn a while back, probably about a year ago. You came out of nowhere, started dominating the trades in the residential construction space on LinkedIn. And I'm excited to have a conversation with you because you're a guy that has lived it every day, also went to college as well as working in the trades, and you have brought it all together into one facet where you're just dominating operations. And what I'd like to know is, what are you most excited about right now in your life?
Oh, I think what I'm really most excited about, it'd be a subtle plug, but I recently launched something called the School of Blue Collar. And it's really where I've poured a lot of my free time, my passion, my energy into. Because like you said, I did college and I did trades. And there's a lot of guys out there, young people that are lost. And I'm here to help those other young people excel in construction, whether it be leadership or starting their own thing. That's what I'm most excited about.
I love it, man, because, a lot of times we hear it's one way or the other, but you're disrupting that and saying it can be both.
Absolutely.
So let's jump in. I'm going to ask the $1 million question, and that is, what makes a construction champion?
Right on. I think it's not really one thing. It's principles, really. When you first asked me this question months ago, I got started, I got working, and over the past couple of months, I just created like this list of 10 principles that I think makes a construction champion. I'll list them off quickly, not to dwell on each one of them, and then we can touch on whichever one you want. We'll hit whatever. But my first and foremost point was vision. Champions need a clear vision of what they want to achieve, what they want to do. The next would be strategic planning. Knowing the importance of strategic planning and everything that goes along with that. And the third, strong communication skills. Following up with that, problem solving, resilience, people skills, safety, and really integrity. And then the 2 points that I was struggling with, I was struggling to get a 9 and a 10, and it was really the adaptability. Champions are super adaptable, and they're also accountable. If you screw up, you're going to be accountable for your actions instead of throwing it onto some other guy. So that's the 10 principles I really, really hounded in on.
I love it. I come in prepared, 10 principles. I think there's a lot to unpack within
a
those.
Lot.
Absolutely. And what I'd like to do is know what sticks out the most to you. What's the number one principle that you feel you excel at the most?
The most important principle I probably excel at the most is probably resilience. Because because I'm 22 years old, whenever somebody asks me, hey, what do you do for a living? My straight up first introduction I hit them with is, I run a multi-million-dollar company with my mother-in-law. And I say that because it hits them with you either get a smile or a laugh, because that's why I use the word resilience, because in my position, you can get a lot of imposter syndrome, those thoughts running through your head, those people speaking into your life that, you shouldn't be there, you don't deserve that position, that type of thing. And so I think it takes a lot of resilience at such a young age to really just buckle down and bull forwards and continue on this path that I'm on, and really ignoring the hate. If that makes sense.
No, that 100% makes sense. And I think that's a great subject to dive into, especially in construction, the imposter syndrome that can be there, where we as business owners, as employees, as just people in the trades can really feel like we just don't rate outside of here. And that's 100% not true. It's something I had to overcome. It's something that sounds like you deal with, is how do we as an industry get rid of that BS, get rid of that perception. And that's part of taking the construction industry forward and moving us into the 21st century. How do we do that?
I think it really goes back to the 10th principle that I came up with. It would be accountability. There needs to be a huge source of accountability from the veterans in the industry, right? Not that I'm totally throwing all of it on them, but there is this stigma, I think, for such a long time that you had to put in the time, you had to put in the hours. If you weren't, a 20-year veteran, then you don't deserve that spot in the office, And I think it takes some accountability on the veteran side and accountability on the young people side for, does it really matter how many years you put on the job site, or does it matter how much skill set you bring to the table, how much knowledge you bring to the table? Because I'm not the smartest person in the room by far. I know plenty of people that are younger than me that I get in a room with them and I'm like, it's like I'm talking to a 45-year-old with 10 years of experience. Kids are getting smarter. They just are. There's a lot more resources available to kids and young people these days than it was when the veterans were coming up. They had to learn with their hands. They had to learn on the job site. They had to learn one-on-one. It's different. And I would say then you go to the 9th principle, the adaptability. Young people are being more adaptable these days. And I think that adaptability and accountability will really fight the stigma of imposter syndrome and feeling like you don't matter on a job site, and a few of the points that you touched on as well.
Yeah, I think, one of the things we've had this conversation on here before is like bridging that gap from the two generations, because we are at a very critical time in construction where we have the old dogs, the guys that are on their way out, and then we have the young ones. We don't have a ton of in the middle. There's this transition happening right now where either we can make a decision as the industry where we're going to pass this knowledge on, we're going to empower the younger generation to go out and thrive, or we can do what the industry is just so known for, and that's hold it all in and not pass it on and just be like super secretive about it, which I am 100% anti. I think that's one of the biggest problems with the construction industry is we're too secretive. We don't share this knowledge because we're so afraid that it's going to create competitors or somebody's going to get an advantage, instead of just figuring out how do we just create wins for our customers and then everybody around us. So you're on the young side of this coming in here. I'm not, I'm 38. I don't consider myself the old dogs.
You're not old.
How do we start to bridge that gap between the guys that are retiring and the guys like you that are coming in that have such a passion for what the construction industry can be? How do we bridge that knowledge and passion together and do it together?
You make some really great points, and especially about the secret of construction, right? A lot of bridges are burned, I think, because big general contractors or other big names in construction keep it so tight knit, instead of really opening up and growing a relationship. It's like you said, it's really secretive, and that's the best way to put it, really, unless you've actually lived it and experienced it. It's just secretive, and until you start leading with more of a open heart, I guess you could say, if you start leading with your heart, you tend to trust people more, and then they tend to trust you right back, if that makes sense.
No,
but to answer your question, I think bridging the gap really comes down to mentorship. And I've seen that firsthand. I work with, a lot of different contractors. I see both sides. I see the contractor that gets a kid in from college, puts him in a project manager role, and he just, he's got to figure his shit out on his own, really. And I've seen contractors that bring in graduates from college and put them in a role, but actually take them under their wing. And, it's as simple as that project manager is following that big dog around like a little puppy. And he's learning everything he's doing, down to how he pitches a client, down to how he bids a job. And I think that's really the mentorship, although tedious at times and probably annoying, granted, because I was one of those puppies. It's really what it takes. It takes mentorship. It takes one-on-one teaching, because it's either that or they go spend 12 years on a job site and have to learn with their hands one-on-one. And then you run into that, short staff position, which is the best way to put it. But to answer your question, I could go on and rabbit trails, but mentorship is the answer. Although tedious, it's really the best answer.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's somebody that's kind of done all of the above when it's come to going through the system and then rewriting what that system looks like. One of the reasons I started this podcast was to rip the doors down. Like, I just felt like in the very beginning, in the first 10 episodes, I was like, man, these conversations are closed door conversations that we're having that everybody can hear. And I think that's important, because that's what that mentorship starts to foster, is a culture where there's a true, I think we've all heard too many times, like, we have an open door policy. I think what should be, it's just an open door on what we're doing, how we're doing it. As you bring in employees, like, they should be privy to that stuff. There shouldn't be this feeling of, no, this is how we do it here, and like, no one else needs to know this. Don't be talking to your family. Don't be talking to spouses. No one should know anything about what we do and how we do it, because it's super secretive. Now, I don't believe it's that way, but I do believe that some of the best business guys I have ever met are in the construction industry. And these guys understand how to build multi-million-dollar companies at a high profit margin. And I think they should be celebrated for that. They choose to put themselves in a position where they're not, by being super secretive about it. And then I think that reflects poorly on the entire industry. Instead of having this culture and this thought process around the construction industry of how good these guys are, we make it so we look the opposite. And I don't believe it should be that way.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I think that, there's a big ego at play. I think, there's a lot of people that these guys and girls build these multi-million-dollar companies, but no one knows how they did it. Because one day they're just like, hey, I did this, and this is what I built. I did this. But I see the book behind you on the shelf, and I can't seem to ignore it. It's Grant Cardone, 10X, huge fan. And I've told people before, I think leaders in the construction industry can take a lot of principles from him, because he shares the journey. He shares, hey, I built this multi-million-dollar powerhouse, but here's how I did it, and here's how you can do it too. If we just take that principle and shift it over to construction, that opens so many doors. Think about how many resources they have. And let's say Grant Cardone is white collar. So many resources on how to build huge companies, be super successful in white collar. If you look at the construction side, the blue collar side of things, there's really not much of that. There's really not much of that. Hey, I built this, and here's how I did it. Here's how you can do it. That type of thing is something that I think we could really bring over to blue collar. And that's mostly what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to create a how-to, journey together so that we can all mutually benefit.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge Grant Cardone fan, as you can tell. I'm not necessarily not just a fan. Like, I believe I read 10X Rule in 2011 when I got in the Marine Corps, and it was really a wake up call and a perspective. The 3 books that you see behind me are the 3 books I say everybody should read. They'll change your life. So 10X Rule would change your mind. 75 Hard would change your outlook on physical fitness and mental toughness. And then Traction will fix your business. those three books all at some point in time had a big impact on my life. And I believe that's the foundation of what everybody should strive to. And I love what you say about how we don't necessarily have that in the construction industry, because I really feel the coaching and mentoring space in the construction industry, I've talked to the who's who and everybody out there, and there's some really, really good guys that have done it, have built the businesses that are out there. But it's a lot of muddy water too. You see a lot of guys because it's a ripe environment. And what really pisses me off is we see guys that have no experience within the construction realm that come over because they know it's a ripe environment. It's somewhere where we can come in. Good business principles go a long way within residential construction, because a lot of the guys are just guys that know how to do what they do, and they're really, really good at it, but they might not be good at running business. I say there's a reason why everybody in the construction industry drives around in $100,000 plus truck, and some of them get out and you wonder how they tied their shoes in the morning. It's because it's a good business model. It's there to be had if you can go get it. And if you can really lock it in, you can do amazing things. And I think a lot of times we get guys coming over that don't quite understand the nuances of the construction industry that are now there. It's just like vultures there, is personally what I see.
No, you make a great point. You're always going to have, no matter what industry you're in, you're always going to have those people that come in and take advantage of an unsaturated market. And it's something that, caught me off guard when I first got on LinkedIn and started venturing into this space. But it's something that you can't dwell on, because at the end of the day, those that are in it for helping the people, and then the financial gain and the personal gain that comes with it is just a benefit. Those people will be insanely obvious that it's going to be hard to miss. It's going to be super hard to miss, because they're not taking videos of their Ferraris or Lamborghinis in the driveway. They're taking videos of how they're helping people on job sites and how they're helping people in college classrooms. And, even at a young age, I struggled with what I wanted to do going forward. But at the end of the day, I'm a people person. I love helping people. And if you're a young person and you're looking for somebody to provide that mentorship, whether it's online or it's one-on-one, you really want to look for somebody that's in it to help you. You're not just a number to that person. You want to look to somebody that values you, like a company that has a great company culture that values their employees as names and not numbers. That's really the principles you want to be looking for when you're looking for mentorship in construction, in my opinion.
No, I love that, because I say all the time on here, and when people ask me, like, who's the best coach, who's the best mentor, I think that is such a broad question, because it really comes down to you. You have to figure out. I say go listen to the guys you think you connect with. I connect with Grant Cardone. I connect with Andy Frisella. Like, those guys speak my language. So from a mentor perspective and coach perspective, like, those are the guys I like relate with. Now, they're not everybody's cup of tea, but there are different guys that just you have to find the person that fits you and can get the most out of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm trying to think, is there any more of the 10 principles that you really want to hit on? Because I think I'd really want to hit on the vision, because I think vision is huge. And it's not just tied to a project. I ran this by a couple people, and they immediately, when you hear a vision, you think of, wow, the vision for a project, the vision for a job. And that's really not exactly what it means. You need to have a comprehensive understanding of not just the project scope, but your career scope, right? You want to have a vision of where you're going to go. Some people don't like planning ahead. They just go with the flow, which is great. But deep down, you do have a vision. You have a vision of where you want to go, where you want to be. But now what I'm trying to say is, the reason I put that at number one is because everyone has a vision. To be a champion, to be a leader in construction, it's those people who put their vision into action. whether it be for a project, whether it be for a career, whether it be for starting your own side business. It's putting the vision into action and then going down the line. Strategic planning that comes with that, the communication skills that you need to come with that, and so forth.
Yeah, vision, I think, is a very overlooked aspect, not just in life and in construction, because vision is what creates everything.
Mm-hmm.
For your personal life, for your professional life, for your life with your family. And if you don't cast a vision and understand a vision, you can't bring that to fruition. I believe everything in my life is because I cast a vision. At one point in time, I said, this is what this is going to look like. And then just backtrack down is, how do we get there? How do we create that vision a reality? And I think we definitely don't do that enough from a career perspective within construction. The guys out there that are working every day, are you casting that vision? Or better yet, if you own a company, are you casting that vision for your employees so they have a vision of what it can be in 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a lot of people that can plan really well. There's a lot of people that can communicate really well. In order to be a champion, like the point of this podcast is, in order to be a champion, you gotta have it all. And that's not to say, if you don't have it all right now, you can't be a champion later. No, that's not to say I have it all right now, but you have what it takes to perform it all. And a lot of people are champions in the making. There's very few champions, but you can be your own champion. You could be a champion in the making for your company. You can be a champion in the making for the industry. I think it's really important to remember is what I really want to end with for my section is I really want people to remember that being a champion doesn't mean being best at everything. It means having the courage to, 1, face challenges, 2, the determination to keep going, and as you know, the humility to actually learn and grow. Set the ego aside, strap on, and go freaking forwards.
I love it. I love it, man. So as we wrap up here today, if anybody wanted to reach out to you, contact you, follow you, where's the best places to do that?
Right now, the best place to do it is LinkedIn. You can just find me at Caleb Fouss. You can find me at theschoolofbluecollar.com. Any of those places are the best places to reach me. I love connecting with people. So I'm more than open to talking, brainstorming. Like you said, this shit's too secretive. You want to hop on a call and brainstorm? Hell yeah. That is music to my ears. So, first off, I am very blessed and grateful that you even asked for me to be a part of this, because I love your content. I love what you put out. You are definitely a pivotal point to everybody in the construction industry. And it's something that should be really valued. So you should feel great.
Awesome, man. Thank you. And it has been fantastic having you on the show today.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Ron.
All right, Construction Champions, the end of another episode where we talked about the 10 principles to being a construction champion and how you don't have to be perfect today. One thing I reflected on while we were having that conversation is when you look at like the Michael Jordans and the Kobe Bryants, these guys that have won multiple championships, they came back from winning a championship and found something that they weren't as good as they could have been at. And that's what kept them relevant. That's what kept them winning, is because they were always working on that one thing that at the time they weren't the best at. And that's what we have to do. Having that list. And like Caleb said, having a vision, understanding where you're at on that path and where you can be in the next 5 years. This stuff matters. It's super easy. I would go back to the beginning of this episode and write down all 10 of them. Take a personal assessment on where you're at and where you're headed. Where do you want to be at in the next 5 years, or in the next 12 months, or in the next 10 years? What does that look like for you? All right, Construction Champions, make sure you go on Facebook and go to the Construction Champion Mastermind group, where we're connecting our listeners and our guests all in one place. It's all completely free. It's just there so we can continue this conversation going forward away from the show. Make sure you go to our website, constructionchampionspodcast.com. Check out our partners and sponsors. They're helping keep this show going every week, 2 times. We're bringing on amazing guests. And until next time, go be the champion you were meant to be. Hey, construction champions, it's your host, Ron Nussbaum here, and I want to talk to you about how you can automate all of your marketing. We've had so many people on here talk about getting the systems in place. Well, we have partnered with Build 12 and Construction Champions podcast. Les O'Hara, the founder, what really excites me is his 30 years in the industry. And now he's built a system to be able to nurture your leads and continue to utilize that. I personally use the system myself. Build 12 is absolutely amazing. There's a lot of value in there, and it's a way to start getting away from Angie's List and all of that kind of stuff and start actually creating your own leads every day and have a system for them. So go on our website, check out the show notes, go check out Build 12 and what it can do for the front end of your business today. It's absolutely amazing. I highly recommend going and meeting with Les and his son, Devin, and talking to him about what they built for their own business so the rest of the industry can take benefit from that. Here on Construction Champions, we're all about helping each other out. And what is better than contractors helping contractors? I say nothing. So let's go take this to the next level. Go check out Build 12. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Les or his son, Devin. We're here to help. We want to continue to grow the industry.